This is a completely unique game of Age of Empires 2. You're going to see a strategy you've never seen on Nomad, deployed against one of the strongest Nomad players in the world. I'm Varus, and I am not that player. I've spawned in as the Bulgarians in red, and I'm going to show you how to use one of my favorite strategies to attack the Finnish pro, Rubenstock. Ruben has spawned into our west, playing as Grey with the Civ, the Ethiopians. Although he is one of the strongest players in the world, we've played a fair bit, and in Nomad team games, really anything can happen. A lowly 1900 like me can take out a player like Rubenstock with timing attacks, and at least get some wins sometimes. We're going to go for a strategy here that you can't really justify with most civilizations. The Bulgarians have a whole host of bonuses that allow them to pull off this rush. They get the Man-at-Arms and Longsword upgrades for free. We're going to be able to have Longswords instantly when hitting Castle Age, by producing Men-at-Arms on the way up to the Castle Age. Additionally, they have a discount on their blacksmith upgrades, and they come in faster, which means that you're going to be able to get those longswords upgraded on the cheap. Longswords don't have amazing base stats, so being able to get them upgraded quickly and at a discount turns them into a really powerful option in the early game. You're getting them cheaper and faster than other civs are able to, so blacksmith upgrades are a top priority when playing the Bulgarians. Now, this video is part of a series that's going to focus on how you can take advantage of pawns on Nomad maps to pull off ridiculous builds that you have never seen before. On this map, I have an amazing pond, and it's a really cool map because it actually has a triple pond generation. I'm always a little afraid when docking a pond if Rubenstock is on the enemy team. Ruben loves pawns and is an absolute master of taking advantage of them, especially in the late game with huge navies made mainly of cannon galleons. I'll focus on that in a later video, but for now, you can see that I'm just going ahead and scouting the shoreline to confirm that nobody is in this pond. If you do find that somebody has docked your pond, you can defend it in the early game by adding extra docks and defending it with fire ships and demos. Generally speaking, you always want to defend your fish, unless you feel like by doing so, you might lose your town center. Otherwise, abandoning your fish probably isn't worth it, because you can get guaranteed value by protecting them instead. This channel isn't all about build orders, but unfortunately, we do need to talk about the economy that you're going to need if you want to pull off this strategy. On Nomad, it's important to get a strong start by producing both villagers and fishing ships as consistently as possible. So I've got 3 on food under my TC, but you can see I have 5 on food in total. That includes the 1 shorefish villager by my dock and 1 fishing ship. I also have 6 villagers on wood. That 5 or 6 number on food will allow me to keep producing villagers. I also have 6 villagers on wood, which will allow me to produce fish. The early game can be a little tricky because you're not able to have this 5 and 6 bare minimum eco balance for consistently producing from both your dock and your town center. You should always prioritize producing villagers because they are the backbone of your eco. You can't make a second town center until Castle Age, so there is no way to recover from idle TC time in the early game. However, if you want to, you can collect extra wood to make additional docks. Other players have similar eco distributions to us, but with more on food, because they're really trying to get up to the next stage. When I'm playing this build though, I'm not going to be as focused on getting up to the next stage as the other players, because I just want another dock in Dark Age. I know that I have the only dock in this pond, and I know it's very big, so I have a ton of incentive to make sure that I can get a second dock up as soon as possible to collect all this fish. At this point, I'm up to 12 on wood, and as you can see, most players are still in single-digit numbers for their wood ecos. A few players will have more on wood at different times, but it's often simply because they don't have food under their town center. Only 1 or 2 players will usually be adding extra fish once you get to the elo where players scout docks and pressure fish early. Rubenstock tends to add fish whenever he senses that he is safe, and he's really good at scouting the map, finding enemies, and remembering their positions. This lets him have an amazing understanding for whether or not he can add those additional fish. In a traditional build, you might cap out at around 6 fish, as if you lose your fish, investing in extra fish hurts more. But there are certain situations in which you can be greedy and add more, like we are doing on our safe pond here. The most standard fast castle build right now for high-level Nomad is called a 21+6 FC. That means you will make 21 villagers and 6 fishing ships in Dark Age, click up to Feudal, then you'll make 2 more villagers in Feudal Age while you get your buildings down to advance to Castle Age. This is a build that our teammate Bell uses all the time, and I learned it from him after realizing how hard he always smacks me in the early Castle Age. In In this game, I won't be going for that build, because I've got a reason to diverge from the meta. Having the safe pawn is all the reason I need to go for a double dock play and stay in Dark Age a little bit longer in order to get a huge power spike in early Castle Age. You can see now that I have just enough wood to produce from both docks, and soon I'll be able to build that second Dark Age building to get me up to the next age. Right when you've built that second dock is generally the time, rather unintuitively, to start pulling villagers off of wood, because you've probably stockpiled just enough to keep producing those fish, and it's time to switch your priority on getting up to the next age. So we've rebalanced our eco by eating this boar now, and we have 10 on wood and 20 on food. Nobody else in the game even has 30 eco units, because this is not a normal Nomad build. The gold tile under my town center allows me to skip a mining camp and go for a little bit of a tighter timing. I'm able to do this with just 22 villagers in Dark Age. So I'm going up one villager later, which is 25 seconds of game time, compared to a standard build. But I have an extra villager and extra fishing ships compared to that standard build. So we're in a really strong position to go for a powerful, food-heavy rush, which is exactly what a Longsword Rush is. Ruben is actually continuing to add fish on the outside of the map. Now this might seem risky, but he does have great scouting here, and he likely knows where all of our docks are. So if we switch over to his view, you can see he's done a great job of scouting the shoreline here. He sees most of the enemy docks on the map, and eventually he does scout my dock, even if he hasn't done so quite yet. I really don't understand how Ruben gets away with all of this sometimes, but he's really just quite mindful about where the other players are on the map. I don't have another explanation. We've gotten up to 32 pop going fast castle here, so we're in a really good position. Rubenstock is still in Dark Age. Part of the reason for this is because his TC position on the edge of the map meant that he had limited boars. He's going to be going for a fast castle play as well, but it's delayed in part by having a totally scuffed map. If you don't have enough food near your TC, there isn't much you can do to get up quickly, but you can see he's adapted by milling the deer here as well. We'll go ahead and build our market and blacksmith forward here, and be in a position to pressure Rubenstock with these villagers. When doing this build, go for your market and blacksmith first, and then build your barracks as soon as possible. You need to make sure that you're going up to the next stage first, and then producing military as soon as possible. You don't want to prioritize a man-at-arms rush. Making those in the feudal age is a mistake. You only make those once you're going to Castle Age. This build is all about the Castle Age power spike, because Castle Age is when you get access to siege, and you can start melting town centers and rolling bases, doing huge damage to the enemy team. The more of a military advantage you have, the more siege it makes sense to make, because you can use that military to protect the siege. When you have an overwhelming military advantage, that's the case when you can make rams. Otherwise, you should probably just stick with mangonels. So we're just continuing to fish here, and the fish have done great work for us. But unfortunately, our pond is being docked, and we don't know it. This means that our fish will be lost, so we're now actually in a position where we're going to be without fish playing against Rubenstock, a player who is just straight up better than we are. But we do have a big advantage here, in that we have a really strong timing attack that we've assembled behind a strong strategy and a favorable map generation. As you can see, we still have what would be considered a pretty tight Nomad build. We're going to be hitting Castle Age just after minute 17, which is a standard timing, and we're going to be doing so with tons of military forward. These units will destroy anything but a large Castle Age army, and they are here before the other players are even in Castle Age. I just come in here and start trying to delay these villagers as long as possible. I know he's using the market and blacksmith to click up, and it's an opportunity for me to take advantage of to try to deny his Castle Age. As I said, even if you're against a better player, on Nomad, anything can happen, and you can find yourself in a position where if you're willing to move forward with a plan, you can take advantage of timings and be aggressive. Rubenstock is on the cutting edge of developing the AoE2 meta, and he has been for a long time. He'll be featured in videos on this channel, not in just games where we're rushing him, but in games where he's completely carrying with totally cool, unique, and creative strategies. We just take out his market here first, and we're not diving to the town center or doing anything too fancy, because I believe that Rubenstock will just quick wall me out if I try to loop on him with slow melee units. So I will just stay in this area and get some guaranteed value by taking out the market. Then I'll move underneath the town center when I have the tools to destroy it, with the rams and the longswords. Now, this becomes a timing game. Player 6 has done a great job to bring his galleys over here, and I don't think I've ever had a support unit as amazing as galleys before when using Longsword Ram to take out an enemy town center. But Rubenstock is up to Castle Age, and we haven't done any real damage to him yet. He's building stone walls, and if he can reach the next stage, he might be able to defend this behind stone walls with mangonels. We get our first ram out and garrison the longswords. Castle Age is at 72%, and Ruben is repairing. He abandons the repairs to the longswords, and walls up behind, and abandons the town center. Castle Age is at 86%, 90%, 92, but it's almost down. And it goes down before Castle Age comes in. And our Rams just go ahead and go back to work. Ruben had a moment there where it looked like his villagers knew that it might go down and he tried to repair, but he kept the walls up and retreated. Probably the right decision. He'll go ahead and keep walling up behind here. And we're now pushing in with 2 Rams, and we're adding a Scorpion behind because it has a nice fast production time, and we'll be able to poke down the repair villagers and deny them from building more walls. Without Castle Age and Mangonels, there's no way to really destroy these Rams for Rubenstock right now, and they will be able to poke down these walls over time, so he's just trying to get up as many layers as possible. But the Scorpion has arrived. The push will continue here and just be a little slow for a minute while we go through the stone wall, but we've definitely done damage now, because anytime you can destroy the enemy's town center with a fast castle push, you're really probably getting the value you wanted. Ruben's eco is still in a pretty strong position overall, but he is heavily delayed in his timing now. He actually has 8 more eco units than us, but again, he's just going up to Castle Age now, and we obviously have the better position. We're starting to add farms because we've lost our fish, and it's important to have a little bit of food eco. I'm not going to boom in this position, because if I did so, I really would not be able to recover my eco compared to the carry players in this game who already have significant booms going, like player 1, and there's just really no reason to do that. It would take away from my power spike, and I need to keep pushing with this army. Ruben's next town center is only 40 seconds of game time away, and it looks like he might make it up this time, but the Rams are on the town center, and the longswords are joining them. Castle Age is at 87% this time. The TC is at half HP, 92%, 95. Surely it will come in, but it's denied. And the Rams move on to player 4's castle. Now, I think this is where I made my first major mistake in this game by not making a Mangonel instead of a second Scorpion. Because with the Mangonel, we could have pretty easily denied this castle. But we go ahead and dive the villagers anyways here, and we're able to get a few kills. But they are still working away at the castle, and it looks like it might be able to get up. Player 4 does get the castle up, and this looks like it might be the end of our push. However, our longswords are still alive, and they'll try to defend the Rams against the villagers. The Vills can't take out the Rams yet, but a Mangonel is out for player 4, and this really looks like the end of our push now. He starts poking down the Rams with the Mangonels, because they have great bonus damage against Rams, and we'll try to load up this Ram to make it faster and take out the Mango. The Ram closes the gap, and it gets a hit off, but it doesn't one-shot, and the Ram goes down. The longswords pop out, and they kill the Mangonel, but now the longswords are unprotected, and so are our Rams. Yellow will just go ahead and clear up these Rams, and end our push. I'm going to end this video here, because it's really more about the amazing strategy than the game itself. If you like the video and want to see a full game cast of a Fast Castle Longsword Rush, please check out the Goth Longsword video that I'm releasing soon. Next week, I'll have a video where I ran into Rubenstock along with his Team Suomi teammates on the ladder. Needless to say, the game had a very different outcome, but it was an absolute masterpiece and was a true exhibition of the next strategy I'd like to show you: fish booming on African clearing. I'm Ferris, and thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments, and if you have a question, I'll answer it. Please also feel free to give the video a like or subscribe to the channel for a new video every week.